AITA for ignoring my cheating ex while her parents escorted her out in tears. My ex-girlfriend was once the most caring woman I had ever met. For our third anniversary, she surprised me with a video of herself in a compromising situation with some guy from a local gym. I stared at my screen in shock. "What you are feeling right now is what I felt seeing you look at the barista at the coffee shop," she said. So, a year later, when she suggested we meet up, I said yes. She thought I wanted to get back together. In reality, I simply wanted to introduce her to her future brother-in-law. Madison walked into Starbucks wearing a dress so short it could have been mistaken for a napkin. "Oh, you actually came? I guess I shouldn't be surprised, seeing as you probably have nothing better to do." She then threw her head back and burst out laughing. "Are you still wearing that awful jacket?" Her 2-inch acrylic nail pointed at me. "At least you're consistent. Anyway, enough about me. I wanted to clear some things up." I nodded, thinking her little ego trip was finally over. "I wanted you to know that I'm sorry for everything that happened. I've worked on myself a lot, and I hope you've managed to move on." For a split second, I almost felt guilty for thinking such horrible things about her, for being secretly engaged to her sister, until she pulled out her iPhone. That was when she started scrolling through her gallery. "All these men have been part of my healing journey," she began. "Here's Brad. He's an investment banker who taught me that a man could actually care about a woman's needs." And apparently, she mistook my morbid curiosity for admiration because other men scrolled across the screen. There was Tyler and his boat, Marcus and his Tesla, each accompanied by a comment about what a significant upgrade he was. That was when I realized how powerful nostalgia-tinted glasses could be. "Good for you," I said calmly. She leaned back, studying me like a predator scenting weakness. "Oh, you're still obsessed with me," she exclaimed, full of confidence. Even my antisocial sister managed to find someone. Her jaw clenched at the mention of Amelia. "Do you remember how clingy she was? She thinks her charm and her looks will be enough to succeed in life." Jealousy oozed from every word. Even now, Madison could not talk about Amelia without her insecurity exploding. "Speaking of pathetic," she continued, "are you at least trying to meet someone, or are you still hoping I come back?" She pinched my bicep and made a face. "Still as scrawny as ever. No wonder you're alone." I could have shut her up with a single sentence, but I chose to stay silent. Not because I didn't want to see her upset, I did, but because I knew Amelia would have wanted me to remain compassionate. She scrutinized my reaction. "You don't even defend yourself. My God, you're even more pathetic than I remember. Did I break you that much?" She laughed. "That's what Amelia will never understand. In this world, it's eat or be eaten." Then she crossed a line. She pulled a small box out of her purse, the watch I had saved up for months to give her for our anniversary. "I wanted to give this back to you, or rather." She opened it, then dropped it on the floor, crushing it under her heel. "Tyler gave me a Rolex. A real man knows how to treat a woman. Even Amelia's loser boyfriend has to do better than that." She pushed the broken pieces toward me with the tip of her foot, inviting me to pick them up. Then her phone rang. Amelia's name flashed on the screen. Madison's face twisted with annoyance. "Ugh, what does perfect Amelia want now?" She rejected the call. She probably wants to brag about her promotion again, her boyfriend, her perfect little life. I wanted to bang my head against the table until my eardrums exploded, but unfortunately, that was not an option. So, I just fiddled with my engagement ring while trying to disconnect. And that was all it took for her to finally shut her big mouth. She saw the ring. Her eyes widened. "You're engaged?" She laughed, but the tone was forced. "To who? Do I know her?" The games paused. The color drained from her face. "Who?" "Amelia." Her mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Her hands shook as she frantically searched Amelia's Facebook. And there, she saw the photo. Amelia had posted a shot of her hand wearing the ring that very morning. The caption read, "Can't wait to marry my best friend." The customers around us turned to stare as she lost her composure. "How long have you been seeing my sister?" When I saw her hand reach for her iced coffee to throw at me, I stood up and left. Good riddance. Unfortunately, Amelia is beautiful on the inside and out. So she insisted on inviting Madison to our wedding. And that is when I realized just how much of a deeply troubled person her sister truly is. The wedding was supposed to be perfect. Amelia had spent months organizing everything, from the floral arrangements to the seating chart. She had even insisted on giving Madison a +1, hoping it would help ease the tension. I should have known. The ceremony itself went fine. Madison sat in the back, wearing sunglasses indoors and scrolling on her phone during our vows. At least she had not made a scene yet. Everything changed at the reception. I was chatting with one of Amelia's cousins when gasps broke out near the entrance. Madison had just walked in wearing a white dress identical to Amelia's, right down to the lace details. She stumbled in with a glass of champagne in hand, loudly announcing that she had completely forgotten the dress code. Amelia's face fell. Her mother rushed over to whisper something to Madison, who simply shrugged and headed for the bar. 5 minutes later, I found Amelia in the restroom, cornered by Madison near the sinks. Madison's mascara was already running as she spat at her sister. "You always take what's mine." I stepped in. Madison stumbled backward, nearly dropping her glass. Then came the disaster of the toast. Before the best man could even stand up, Madison had grabbed the microphone. She swayed slightly, tapped it twice, then launched into what she called funny anecdotes about our relationship. The room went dead silent as she described in uncomfortable detail our private life and my supposed shortcomings. My uncle eventually snatched the mic from her mid-sentence, but the damage was done. Later, at the coat check, Amelia's parents pulled me aside. Her mother's hands were shaking as she showed me her phone. Dozens of messages sent by Madison over the past few weeks. Concerns about our marriage, warnings about my character, screenshots of old arguments between Madison and me. I slipped away to get some fresh air. The parking lot was mostly empty, save for a few smokers near the entrance. I heard heels clicking behind me. Madison had followed me, wobbling on her stilettos, brandishing her phone like a weapon. She waved it around frantically, throwing accusations at me, her words slurring. The security cameras mounted on the streetlights blinked softly, recording everything. The day after brunch should have been peaceful. Amelia and I arrived at the restaurant, exhausted but trying to salvage a bit of the day. Madison showed up 20 minutes later with Tyler, a guy she was apparently dating. They sat at the next table, and she started talking loudly about their intimate life, making sure we heard every detail. Our honeymoon flight was scheduled for that afternoon. At the airport, as we were checking our bags, Madison reappeared. She bumped into Amelia, spilling her coffee all over her carry-on luggage. Tyler was behind her, visibly uncomfortable while Madison laughed at the incident. We thought the distance would do us good. The honeymoon gave us 2 weeks of peace. But upon our return, our elderly neighbor mentioned seeing Madison's car parked across the street from our house at 3 in the morning on multiple nights. She had taken pictures because it worried her. The mailbox incident happened on the 3rd day after we got back. I had gone to get the mail and found a stack of printed screenshots. Every message Madison and I had exchanged during our relationship. Hundreds of pages, some highlighted, others with angry comments scribbled in the margins. Amelia discovered the email harassment when she returned to work. Her inbox contained dozens of anonymous messages warning her about her new husband. Details that only Madison could know, twisted stories to make me look like a monster. Her coworkers had received similar emails, but it was the doorbell video that truly shook us. Our new Ring camera had caught Madison at 2 in the morning trying different keys in our lock. She was completely sober, methodical. She carefully tested each key, one by one. None worked. Then she stood there for 5 minutes staring at our door. Tyler's message arrived the following evening. Brief and direct, he was done with her. She was behaving erratically. We should be careful. I saved that message. Grocery shopping became a nightmare. In every aisle we went down, Madison would appear shortly after. She photographed the contents of our cart while pretending to text. When we switched stores, she came there too. My boss called me into his office on a Tuesday. Someone claiming to be my wife had called, expressing concern about my mental health. The caller ID showed Amelia's number. He knew it was not her, but wanted to let me know. Amelia's book club met monthly at different people's houses. Madison joined it the week after we returned from our honeymoon. She spent the entire session talking about her ex who had betrayed her with her own sister. The other members were uncomfortable. We started couples therapy to manage the stress. Madison had managed to book the session right after hours with the same therapist. We ran into her in the waiting room where she pretended to be surprised to see us. Sarah, Amelia's best friend since college, called one evening in tears. Madison had been messaging her for weeks about my supposed abusive behavior. Sarah had saved everything, unsettled by the obsessive nature of the messages. Thursday night basketball was my only escape until Madison started showing up to watch the games. Then, she started dating Mike from my team. She had clearly scoured the game schedule to meet him. The anniversary dinner ambush was premeditated. Amelia's parents were celebrating their 30th anniversary at their favorite restaurant. Madison arrived as Mike's +1, wearing a white dress identical to the one Amelia wore to our reception, the same one she had worn to our wedding, obviously bought in duplicate. I started spotting her car everywhere. During my lunch break, I saw it parked across from our building. She was inside, taking pictures of our home from multiple angles. I documented everything with my own phone. Amelia's LinkedIn became a new battlefield. Connection requests poured in from Madison's friends accompanied by messages about Amelia's situation, concerned messages, warnings, and intrusive questions about our marriage. Sarah called again, even more upset. Madison had managed to convince her that Amelia had broken the sister code by dating her sister's ex. The manipulation was working even if Sarah knew it was not logical. Mike pulled me aside after a game. Madison had told him I was stalking her, but her stories kept changing. One time, I was following her to work. Another time, I was hacking her phone. Mike was starting to see through her lies. The painting class was Amelia's sanctuary. She had been taking it for years, finding peace there every week. Madison signed up for the class and paired up with Amelia for every exercise, throwing mocking comments about her technique, her color choices, and her subjects. The pharmacy called about a suspicious incident. A woman had tried to pick up our prescriptions with a forged written authorization. The pharmacist had refused, sensing something was wrong. The woman perfectly matched Madison's description. Each incident compounded the last. Each violation pushed the boundaries further. We documented everything, not knowing what else to do. The wedding interruption had only been the beginning. Madison's campaign was escalating. It was methodical and relentless. We changed the locks, installed more cameras, and altered our routines, but she always found a way to infiltrate our lives. Her harassment was wearing us down exactly as she wanted. Looking back, the signs were there. Her reaction at Starbucks should have warned us, but nothing could have prepared us for the systematic campaign she was going to wage. The wedding was just her opening move. The Instagram account appeared 3 days after I photographed Madison taking pictures of our house. The Truth About Ryan posted edited photos of me taken from different angles without my realizing it. The follower count climbed quickly, although most profiles seemed suspicious. Amelia discovered it when a co-worker showed her the account during their lunch break. Saturday morning at the farmer's market turned into another ambush. As Amelia was picking out tomatoes, Madison appeared at the next stall. She loudly launched into a story about her ex who had abandoned her for her own sister, gesturing wildly while customers turned to look. The vendor looked uncomfortable as Madison's voice echoed across the market. The following Tuesday, as I was getting gas, someone tapped me on the shoulder. It was Jack, the trainer from our old gym, visibly troubled. He looked around nervously before explaining that Madison had filmed their workout sessions without his knowledge. She had recently shown him the videos to prove how much she could ruin his reputation if he did not cooperate with her plans. The blackmail scheme was becoming clear. Amelia's mother called that evening in tears. Madison had sent her what she claimed was proof of my infidelity. Photos from my bachelor party were completely taken out of context. Images showing me chatting with a waitress were cropped to look intimate. Madison had added dates and locations to make innocent interactions look like betrayals. Wednesday morning brought a new violation. Both cars in our parking lot had been deeply keyed. The word liar was scratched into the paint. Security cameras showed a figure in dark clothing, face hidden by a hood. We filed a police report, but the officer explained that without clear identification, it was just vandalism. Our building's security guard stopped us later in the week. He showed us the incident log, which detailed several attempts by Madison to access our floor with various excuses. Management had finally posted Madison's photo at all entrances with instructions to deny her entry. They were finally taking things seriously. Madison's next target was Amelia's workplace. She had started volunteering at the hospital, telling her co-workers she needed to keep an eye on her sister. Amelia discovered the truth when Madison showed up at the cafeteria during her lunch break, sitting at a nearby table and staring at her. An unexpected ally emerged on social media. Emma, a high school friend, reached out after seeing the Instagram account. She revealed that Madison had put her boyfriend through the same thing years ago. The harassment had lasted 2 years before he finally got a restraining order. The pattern was clearly taking shape. Mike had broken up with Madison after she asked him to quit the basketball league to avoid me. He had witnessed her increasingly controlling behavior. She snooped through his phone, questioned every one of his interactions, and made increasingly unreasonable demands. Her mask was slipping. The maintenance visit caught us off guard. Madison showed up at our apartment with the maintenance staff, claiming she had left jewelry behind during a visit months earlier. The maintenance worker looked apologetic as she rummaged through drawers, obviously lying about the lost items. We watched her invade our space, legally powerless. Sarah came to our house with a laptop and a trembling voice. She apologized profusely while showing us screenshots. Madison had been sending her angry messages daily since the announcement of our engagement. These messages revealed an obsession that had lasted for months, maybe even years. Each message was more delusional than the last. The warning came from an unexpected source. B, Madison's roommate, contacted us through a mutual acquaintance. She met us at a coffee shop across town, constantly looking over her shoulder. She described Madison's bedroom, the walls covered with photos from our wedding. My face was scratched out in every single one. She offered to take pictures as proof. Our next encounter happened at a wine bar while Amelia and I were trying to have a normal evening. Madison walked in with a new date, a lawyer who made pointed remarks about defamation lawsuits. They sat in a spot where we could not avoid them. Madison wore a smirk throughout the meal. The next morning, my mother called me, confused and worried. Madison had contacted her crying, saying she still loved me. She had invented elaborate stories about our relationship, claiming I had promised to come back to her. My mother did not know what to think until I explained the situation. The photos sent by B were encrypted. Madison's room looked like a scene from a thriller. Wedding photos covered every surface, annotated with dates and delusional notes. The timeline showed her obsession had started well before our wedding. Some photos dated back to when I was still with her. The building management agreed to officially ban Madison after reviewing the surveillance footage we had compiled. The property manager seemed shocked by the sheer volume of evidence. Official trespassing warnings were issued. Although we knew a piece of paper would not be enough to stop her, Emma joined us for coffee to tell her whole story. Madison had harassed her via fake social media profiles, infiltrated her workplace, and constantly monitored her. It had only stopped when Madison found a new target. Emma's boyfriend had to transfer universities to escape her. The pattern stretched back a decade. Sarah created a group chat called Team Amelia after consulting a lawyer friend. The lawyer explained that to get a restraining order, we needed to prove a credible threat of harm. Documentation would be crucial. Everyone started saving everything: texts, emails, photos, videos. Tyler reached out to us with disturbing news. While moving his things out, he had found an old phone hidden in Madison's closet. It contained videos of her practicing arguments against an imaginary version of me. Hours of footage showed her rehearsing confrontations, planning scenarios, and getting angry over invented offenses. We focused on safety rather than revenge. New locks, extra cameras, varied routines. We documented everything without ever responding. Keeping our cool was difficult but necessary. Amelia insisted that we maintain our integrity despite the provocations. The confrontation in the grocery store was inevitable. Madison appeared in the produce aisle, following us up and down. When an employee asked if there was a problem, Madison lost her temper. She accidentally admitted to keying our cars while ranting about justice. The employee's eyes widened. I provided the gym's surveillance footage, showing Madison watching us during our workouts, filming with her phone. The timestamps proved she had been watching us for months, long before she sent me that video. Everything had been calculated, planned, and orchestrated. An unexpected alliance formed between Mike, Tyler, and Jack. They met regularly to compare Madison's behaviors. Each had stories of manipulation, threats, and increasingly extreme demands. They began warning other men who showed an interest in her. Madison's mother finally called Amelia. Her voice sounded resigned. This was not the first time. There had been incidents in high school and college. They had hoped she would eventually change. A family pattern of enabling was revealed. My workplace increased security measures after Madison tried to enter with a fake ID. She claimed to be delivering important documents. Security footage showed her trying to get in multiple times over several days. HR took the threat seriously. The parking lot confrontation happened on a Thursday night. Madison cornered Amelia alone, admitting to having planned the wedding crash for weeks. She had bought multiple white dresses, rehearsed her entrance, and planned every detail. The confession was chilling in its precision. Amelia's co-workers at the hospital set up an informal watch system. Her photo was distributed to the security staff. Her application to volunteer was rejected. Hospital administration banned her from the premises after several incidents. The Instagram account disappeared overnight after massive reporting from our support network. Madison's digital harassment platform collapsed, but we knew she would just create another one. This temporary victory tasted bitter. Emma revealed even more things. Madison's ex-girlfriend in college had also transferred schools to escape her. She had weaseled her way into her friend group, spread rumors, and made her life unbearable. The pattern went back more than 10 years. We were not special. We were simply the current targets. We installed a comprehensive security system while informing our neighbors of the situation. Most were understanding, having noticed strange incidents themselves. Community awareness became an added layer of protection. The book club collectively kicked Madison out after another member brought printed copies of the anonymous emails. She tried to turn the group against Amelia with fake evidence. The members saw right through her game and sided with Amelia. Madison's attempts to infiltrate the hospital continued despite the ban. Security reported several incidents where she tried to access staff-only areas. She claimed to be visiting sick relatives, delivering flowers, or applying for various jobs. The next crisis erupted in a restaurant during a monthly dinner with Amelia's parents. They had chosen a place across town to avoid Madison, but she barged in anyway. Her reaction upon seeing us dining together was explosive. Other patrons watched as she screamed about betrayal. Her father finally saw the truth. My reputation at work strengthened as my coworkers became aware of Madison's harassment. Her calls and visits had the exact opposite effect she intended. People rallied around me, offering their support and understanding. A tech-savvy friend traced the anonymous emails back to Madison's IP address. The digital trail was clear, showing hundreds of messages sent from her devices. We added them to our evidence file. The eviction notice arrived at Madison's apartment after multiple complaints from neighbors. She had 30 days to vacate. The property management company had received reports of late-night disturbances, strange visitors, and aggressive behavior. The countdown had begun. Amelia's painting instructor revoked Madison's enrollment after she verbally attacked Amelia during a session. The entire class had witnessed Madison's relentless critiques of every brushstroke, every color choice. The instructor's patience finally snapped. We realized that defending ourselves was no longer enough. The harassment was escalating despite our precautions. It was time to take action. The evidence file had grown thick enough to wallpaper a room. Our strategy shifted. Instead of reacting emotionally, we decided to document coldly. Every provocation received a discreet but recorded response. Every escalation was added to the file. Madison's frustration became visible as her tactics failed to provoke the explosive reactions she hoped for. The family group chat voted unanimously to exclude Madison from all future events. Cousins shared their own awkward experiences. Aunts and uncles admitted to avoiding family gatherings because of her behavior. The family rift was complete. The truth about the wedding dress incident spread through social circles. Friends were disturbed by such calculated cruelty. Madison's social isolation deepened as people discovered the whole story. Even mere acquaintances began to avoid her. A week of peace felt unreal to us. Madison rushed to find new housing while we continued our routine. Security cameras showed mundane footage, neighbors walking their dogs, delivery drivers dropping off packages. This calm had something unsettling about it. Madison's desperate call came through to Amelia's work phone. She claimed to have had a medical emergency and needed immediate help. But the background noise revealed party sounds, laughter, and music. The manipulation was obvious. Amelia still called 911, letting the professionals handle the situation. Hospital security was tightened after Madison tried to access the employee parking lot. She tested different entry points, looking for weak spots. The security team took the threat very seriously and adapted their protocols. The moving truck spotted outside Madison's building sparked premature joy. Neighbors reported furniture being loaded and boxes being carried out, but the destination remained unknown. We watched from afar, hoping for a resolution. Family relationships began to mend as everyone realized the manipulation they had endured. Amelia's parents apologized for not seeing it sooner. The cousins offered their support. The family united against this common threat. Madison's exes formed an unexpected support group. Other victims came forward with similar stories. The pattern was undeniable. Years of harassment had destroyed relationships. We were not alone in this nightmare. Our comprehensive police report was finally taken seriously. A detective reviewed the evidence file, impressed by the precision of our documentation. Complaints from other victims strengthened the case. The pattern was too clear to ignore. The breakthrough came from Madison's former therapist. Contacted by her worried mother, she confirmed the recurring behavior within legal bounds. This professional validation of what we had experienced felt like a deliverance. Even more truth surfaced when Madison's former college roommate reached out. She had filed a restraining order during their sophomore year because of escalating harassment. The documentation from that case perfectly mirrored our own experience. The pattern was pathological. Our support network compiled a massive file. Every incident, every witness, every piece of evidence filed chronologically. This file constituted undeniable proof of systematic stalking. Legal options became clearer. A lawyer friend helped us draft a cease and desist letter, backed by evidence. The legal tone was firm but fair. We offered a choice: stop the harassment voluntarily or face prosecution. The ball was in Madison's court. Her parents attempted an intervention in a neutral location. We learned later that she had stormed out in a fury, refusing to admit any wrongdoing. Her parents seemed crushed, realizing their daughter needed help far beyond what they could offer. The pregnancy announcement posted on social media was a new desperate attempt. Madison claimed I was the father despite an impossible timeline. The lie was obvious to those who knew the facts, but we still had to deal with the fallout. We faced online backlash as Madison's story spread. Some of our mutual contacts wondered if there was another side to the story. The gaslighting partially worked on those who did not know the full background. The truth was becoming collateral damage. I found myself alone defending our side of the story when Amelia had to undergo emergency surgery, a real medical crisis, unlike the one Madison invented. The timing seemed orchestrated, but it was just a coincidence. The trust between us remained intact despite the ordeal. The decision to go public with our story was not easy. We had protected Madison's reputation despite everything, hoping she would get treatment. But the lie about the fake pregnancy was the last straw. The truth had to be revealed. Our social media post contained a timeline and key evidence. No commentary, just the facts. The reaction was immediate and massive. The community had just been waiting for someone to break the silence. Others shared their own stories involving Madison. The lobby of our building became the stage for the final confrontation. Madison arrived with a moving truck and her parents. She swung between tearful apologies and venomous accusations. Her emotional instability was glaring. Her father's revelation shed light on everything. Madison had stopped taking her medication several months ago. The timeline of the escalation lined up perfectly. Mental health issues did not excuse her actions, but they provided context. The building manager arrived with security guards and a formal trespass notice. With this legal backing, the ban became enforceable. Madison could no longer claim ignorance or a mistake. The boundaries were now clearly established. We had a choice: press charges or let her family handle the aftermath. The evidence file could support criminal charges, but Amelia's compassion won out. We offered an alternative: no charges if Madison sought treatment. Leniency felt harder than revenge. Her parents laid down their ultimatum: inpatient treatment or a complete cutoff from all family support. She had hit rock bottom. The choice was hers, but the consequences were real. Her final manipulation attempt was threatening to harm herself in the lobby. We immediately called 911. Professional intervention was the only appropriate response. Her parents looked relieved when the uniformed responders arrived. The scene in the lobby was heartbreaking. Her parents physically escorted her to their car while she screamed about betrayal and abandonment. Other residents watched from their doors. The chapter was closing. From our window, we watched Madison drive away. Her parents had mentioned a specialized facility 2 hours away suited to her specific disorders. That physical distance felt like a breath of fresh air. 2 weeks later, Madison's mother gave us an update. The treatment was progressing. Her medication intake was monitored. Therapy was intensive. The assessment was cautiously optimistic. Recovery seemed possible. We began removing the security cameras inside the apartment. The outdoor ones stayed, but we could finally stop invading our own privacy. That hypervigilance had exhausted us. A normal life was calling us. Our support group celebrated at a restaurant near our place. The Starbucks where I had told Madison about our engagement was visible from the window. Sarah raised her glass to love rather than fear. The circle of friends had grown stronger through this ordeal. Tyler had come with Emma, his new partner. They had grown closer over their shared experiences with Madison. Something positive had emerged from the chaos. Mike was there too, grateful for the brotherhood that had formed. Amelia placed her hand on her belly with a secret smile. The stress had not prevented new beginnings. We were ready to build our future without fear. Madison's campaign had failed to destroy what mattered most. The restraining order documents filed by the former college roommate arrived by courier the next morning. Victoria, who had lived with Madison during their sophomore year, had kept meticulous records, police reports, campus security logs, and testimonies, all painting the same disturbing pattern dating back over a decade. The parallels with our situation were undeniable. Our support network assembled the evidence file in Sarah's living room that afternoon. There were boxes of printed emails, USB drives with security footage, and sworn witness statements. Our lawyer friend organized everything chronologically while the others cross-referenced the incidents. Once the facts were laid out sequentially, the systematic nature of Madison's actions became impossible to deny. The cease and desist letter was sent via certified mail with a return receipt. We tracked the delivery confirmation obsessively. Madison signed for it at the temporary address where she was staying. The legal language was clear: cease all contact immediately or face legal action. The evidence appendix alone was 40 pages long. Her parents organized an intervention at a downtown community center. We were not invited, but we learned the details through Amelia's mother. Madison expected a family meeting regarding her housing. Instead, she found her parents, 2 aunts, and a crisis counselor waiting for her. The confrontation lasted less than 20 minutes before she stormed out furiously. The announcement of a fake pregnancy then appeared on 3 social media platforms simultaneously. Madison had created elaborate timelines, forged ultrasounds, and invented medical appointments. The dates made conception impossible. We were on different continents during the supposed time frame. Yet, some mutual acquaintances initially believed the story. I spent hours writing responses to our confused friends while Amelia underwent emergency gallbladder surgery. The timing felt deliberately cruel, although it was pure coincidence. The hospital waiting rooms became my temporary office as I answered messages and calls. The pregnancy lie was spreading faster than the facts could counter it. Sarah coordinated the truth campaign from her apartment. She created a shared document containing verifiable facts, dates, and links to evidence. The members of Team Amelia distributed it strategically, countering Madison's lies with documented reality. The social media battle played out in real time across several platforms. Some mutual friends hesitated, wondering if there were 2 sides to the story. The gaslighting partially worked on those who only knew us from a distance. A few deleted us, choosing to believe Madison's victim narrative. Others saw clearly immediately, especially those who had witnessed her behavior. The post compiling all the evidence went live while Amelia was recovering from her surgery. We had debated at length the ethics of such a public exposure. The pregnancy lie forced our hand. The post included screenshots of timelines, security camera footage, and testimonies. No commentary, just clearly presented facts. The community's reaction was immediate and massive. Comments poured in from other victims of Madison's harassment, former coworkers, college classmates, and even someone from her high school. The pattern went back further than we had imagined. Each testimony added weight to the already documented history. Madison showed up at our building the following evening with a moving truck and her parents. The lobby security cameras captured the whole scene. She alternated between tearful apologies and screaming accusations. These mood swings were violent and unpredictable. Other residents gathered in the lobby, drawn by the commotion. Her father's confession cut through her performance. She had stopped taking her medication 4 months ago. The timeline matched the escalation of her actions perfectly. He seemed exhausted, defeated. Her mother stood silently, tears in her eyes. They had covered for her for years, hoping love would be enough to fix what required professional help. The building manager stepped out of his office with security guards and official documents. The trespass notice now carried legal weight. Madison's name was officially banned from the building. Any future violation would result in an immediate arrest. The boundaries were finally enforceable. I watched Madison realize reality. Her parents were flanking her. Security was watching closely, and neighbors served as witnesses as the elaborate fantasy she had built collapsed publicly. Her face cycled through a range of emotions: rage, despair, confusion, and brief moments of lucidity followed by fresh tantrums. We were faced with the choice we had discussed at length. The evidence could support multiple charges: harassment, stalking, vandalism. The detective had told us clearly that prosecution was viable, but Amelia's compassion guided our decision. We proposed an alternative through her parents. The conditions were simple: no charges if Madison immediately entered an inpatient treatment center, a full psychiatric evaluation, strict adherence to medication, a minimum stay of 90 days. Her parents would handle the logistics and costs. Any contact with us would void the agreement and result in immediate legal action. Her parents presented her with the ultimatum in the lobby. Their daughter could choose treatment or face the total withdrawal of family support and potential criminal charges. The choice was hers, but the consequences were guaranteed. She hit rock bottom in plain sight of everyone. Her final manipulation attempt was threatening to harm herself. She grabbed a pen from the security desk and made a motion toward her wrist. The performance was obvious, but still required a response. I dialed 911 while her parents stepped back. Professional intervention was the only appropriate response. Everyone in the lobby understood the calculated nature of the threat. Emergency services arrived within minutes. 2 paramedics and a crisis counselor calmly walked in. They had seen this scenario before. Madison's threats escalated as they approached. Her parents provided her medical history and current treatments. The scene was overwhelming despite everything. Her parents physically helped her into the ambulance while she screamed about betrayal and abandonment. She accused everyone: me, Amelia, her parents, the building staff. These accusations grew increasingly wild and incoherent. Other residents watched from their doorways, finally understanding the scope of what we had endured. The ambulance doors closed on Madison's screams. Her parents followed in their car. The treatment facility was 2 hours away, specializing in personality disorders and obsessive behaviors. The physical distance was our first real breath of fresh air. The lobby slowly emptied. Neighbors came up to offer their support. Some apologized for not believing us sooner. The building manager assured us that security protocols would be tightened. The community had witnessed the truth. 2 weeks of silence followed. No messages, no emails, no surprise appearances. Security cameras showed only normal activity. We remained vigilant, but slowly began to relax. Amelia returned to work after her recovery. Routines gently resumed. Madison's mother called with an update on day 15. The treatment was progressing. Medication compliance was being monitored. Intensive therapy sessions were mandatory. Madison had experienced what the doctor called a moment of lucidity regarding her behavior. The report was cautiously optimistic. We started removing the indoor security cameras. The hypervigilance had been exhausting. The outdoor cameras stayed in place, but our private space became private again. Every small step toward normalcy felt monumental. The apartment became a home again, not a fortress. The support group met at the restaurant where our story had begun. Sarah had organized the celebration, insisting we acknowledge our survival. The group had grown beyond the original members, including some of Madison's other victims. Tyler had come with Emma. Their relationship, born from shared trauma, had blossomed into something real. Mike was accompanied by his new girlfriend, whom he joked should be wary of his questionable judgment and exes. Jack came alone but seemed at peace. The brotherhood forged in crisis had transformed into a true friendship. Stories were shared around the table. Everyone had been affected differently by Madison's manipulation. The patterns were always the same: love bombing, a gradual increase in control, then explosive endings. All had kept evidence. All had felt crazy. All had questioned their own perception. The validation of this shared experience was powerful. Emma revealed that a former co-worker of Madison's had reached out after seeing another social media post. He had transferred locations 10 years ago to escape her. He wanted us to know we were not alone, that survival was possible. His message was brief, but meaningful. The conversation then shifted toward healing. Everyone had developed different coping mechanisms to move forward. Some had gone to therapy. Others found strength in documentation and preparation. The shared understanding that Madison's behavior was not personal, that we were just the current targets in a long pattern, had helped us immensely. Sarah proposed a toast to love rather than fear. Glasses were raised around the table. We had all been tested, confronted by someone determined to destroy our happiness, but our bonds had grown stronger through the ordeal. Madison's campaign had failed in its ultimate goal, isolation and destruction. Amelia placed a hand on her belly with a knowing smile. The stress of the past months had not stopped a new beginning. We were 12 weeks pregnant, cautiously optimistic. The timing was not ideal, but life rarely waits for the perfect moment. The excitement from our friends was genuine and heartfelt. The evening ended with promises to stay in touch. The crisis had passed, but the friendships would continue. Plans were made for normal get-togethers, barbecues, game nights, and celebrations without underlying tension. The future was finally possible again. 6 months later, our new backyard hosted the promised barbecue. The house represented a fresh start, healthy boundaries, and peace. Friends arrived throughout the afternoon. Sarah with her new partner, Tyler and Emma now engaged, Mike and his growing family. The gathering had a simple beauty to it, wonderfully ordinary. Madison's parents called occasionally to give updates. She had completed the initial program and transitioned to outpatient care. She was taking her medication properly. They had helped her move to another state for a true fresh start. The distance was permanent, necessary for everyone's healing. Amelia's baby bump was now clearly visible as she mingled from group to group. The pregnancy had progressed without complications despite the early stress. We had chosen not to find out the baby's gender, wanting some surprises to be positive ones. The nursery was ready, painted in soothing neutral tones. Sarah raised an impromptu toast as the sun set. She spoke of resilience, of choosing love over fear, of the family we had built through hardship. Tyler manned the grill, while Emma helped Amelia prepare the side dishes. Mike's children played in the yard, normal life in all its beautiful simplicity. Madison's parents briefly joined via video call. They wanted to share her graduation from the treatment program. She appeared briefly on screen, calmer, properly medicated, and apologizing in a way that felt genuine. The woman she could have been if her mental health had been addressed sooner. The call ended with mutual wishes for continued healing. No promises of reconciliation, no forced forgiveness, just an acknowledgement of progress and the maintenance of boundaries. Her parents understood. They had learned hard lessons about the difference between helping and enabling. As night fell, our guests lingered a while longer. The conversation had long since moved away from Madison and trauma. We now talked about baby showers, holiday parties, and normal life events. The chapter had closed naturally, without a dramatic ending or a perfect resolution. I stood next to Amelia as our friends said their goodbyes. Our hands rested on her belly, feeling a few little kicks. The journey from that confrontation at Starbucks to this moment felt both incredibly long and strangely short. We had survived something designed to destroy us. The security cameras were still there, but rarely checked. The evidence files were archived, but no longer opened. The hypervigilance had faded into reasonable caution. Life had found a new rhythm, not dictated by fear or constant surveillance. Our chosen family had emerged stronger from this trial by fire, not bound by blood, but by the shared experience of standing firm against someone's planned destruction. The bonds forged in crisis had grown into true friendships based on understanding and mutual support. Madison's attempt to destroy us had completely failed. Instead of isolation, we had found a community. Instead of fear, we had chosen love. Instead of silence, we had spoken the truth. The multiplier effect of support, when good people refused to stand by and do nothing, had proven more powerful than the obsessive actions of one person. The future stretched out before us, uncertain but no longer threatening. A child would soon join our carefully rebuilt world, made up of chosen families and hard-won peace. The foundations were solid, built on truth, and protected by those who refused to let manipulation triumph. Comment: I want to emphasize that protecting your peace is not an act of selfishness, but a vital necessity for your overall well-being. True self-respect starts when you decide to stop engaging with people who only aim to drain your energy. Setting firm boundaries allows you to filter out the noise and surround yourself with those who genuinely care about your growth. Even when you are pushed to your limits, choosing to act with integrity reflects your inner strength far better than revenge ever could. Sometimes, the most powerful move you can make is simply to walk away and focus on building a life you love. I have learned that healing is a journey you take at your own pace, supported by the people who have stood by you through the hardest seasons. You deserve a circle of friends who celebrate your successes and respect your values without hesitation. Always remember that your past experiences do not define your future potential for happiness. I hope you continue to cultivate kindness toward others while staying fiercely protective of your own mental health. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.